Welcome everyone to BFB and Teapot, but the votes are cumulative. This one will work the same as the one for BFDI. Contestants' vote totals will be added up over time, including rejoin and debut votes. Unfortunately, this will mean things will be a bit boring at first, as nothing will change. But it'll get interesting later, don't worry. In BFB 1, Lightning forgot to fly, so Iance ended up being unable to retrieve a basket this time. Pencil received the most votes with 4,595, which was the biggest ever at the time. Also, votes from previous seasons are not carried over. Leafy is apparently not great at managing the team without harming everyone on it, either physically or mentally, so her team loses in BFB 2. In the next episode, she gets eliminated by nearly double the votes David had. Something happens that causes Bommy to partially explode, although we don't actually get to see what happened. Bracelety breaks the vote record again, for the third time in a row. Death Pact may have successfully prevented death, but they did not successfully prevent their elimination. Lai is the one who leaves the game. Finally, some accumulation as Beep is the first team to lose a second time. However, Roboti had enough of a lead in BFB 6's real voting that he still gets eliminated, which is kinda unfortunate for the interestingness of this video. Bell breaks the basket they were hiding under and caused Clock to get the twinkle, so they lost. However, it's not him who leaves, but Loser instead. Despite their best efforts to keep Remote from doing so, she successfully managed to put the liar ball into a better name than that's hole. Fittingly, 8-Ball loses on the 8th episode. Stapy's cheating caused them to lose, but only after Match ratted them out. Stapy will leave the game here. Beep loses for a third time due to a misunderstanding, believing they only had to throw one ball instead of weighing the basket down. David is eliminated with over 20,000 votes. It's time for a rejoin, and we finally have our first actual change. David will rejoin the game with 21,476 votes, while Leafy only has 20,761. Iance loses again because Flower kept getting knocked out of the way and otherwise being unlucky this episode. Luckily for her, it's Match who gets eliminated this episode, just like normal. The reason they lost is simple. They were just unable to figure out that it was Spongy who was fake. Fiery Jr. is out with an increase of exactly 10,000 votes. At long last, the team that never loses lost. This also means every contestant has been voted now, which means things should get more interesting from here. For now though, Dora is out. Yeah, no matter what, Spongy was gonna get out here. He just got way too many votes in this episode for it to possibly be anyone else. Split time, Spongy rejoins, and Loser does too, with everyone who gets eliminated after him moving down one spot in terms of their placements. Meanwhile, everyone who switches to Teapot, 40 contestants total, ties for 15th place. The half-cots are the first of the two post-split teams to be up for elimination, and as a reminder, David is replacing Leafy. Vote to save will further shake things up, as Ruby is out. The have-nots end up having their tower get knocked over completely, so are up for elimination next. Blocky will be eliminated here. The have-cots fail to make the sun hotter, so they lose this episode. Balloony may have escaped last time, but he's not so lucky this time around. The have-cots are the ones who successfully extinguish X, which means the have-nots lose. So Taco will get out an episode early. Tragically enough, the have-nots lose twice in a row, so the original winner of BFB will not win this time. The have-cots lose the courtroom challenge, but I'm not sure how due to the real Leafy's absence. Bubble is still out like the normal episode, but wow, David is getting high. It looks like he might have this one in the bag. Everyone on this team is now over 50,000 cumulative votes, except the ones who are out. Also, the flower replacement status has changed hands once again as Loser loses. Lollipop, Gelatin, and Spongy as Flower win the challenge, so everyone else loses. Teardrop is eliminated as she has the least by a lot. Woody and David lose again, and Gelatin and Lollipop join them this time. Although it's Gelatin who loses this time, it doesn't look very good for Lollipop either. As I alluded to before, it is in fact not good for Lollipop, who up to this point was the only one not replacing someone else in terms of their votes. She is out of here. Two of the three losers this time end up above 100,000 votes. The one who doesn't is Spongy, who is now out of the game. Fiery ends up falling just short again, this time in 3rd place. Meanwhile, Woody has just accumulated a massive addition to his vote total. Will it be enough to overcome David in BFB 30? It is enough to overcome David, which means if votes across the season were cumulative, Woody would end up winning BFB. This also holds true with the extended 10-day voting period, although David would cut into Woody's margin a little bit. Now, let's move on to Teapot. Winner and price tag still join as they normally would, and their debut votes will be added to their running total. Winner has 15,762, and Taggy has 4,907. The first team to lose is Death Pact again, and some of them haven't been up for voting since BFB 5, which is pretty crazy. Also crazy is that Marker ends up leaving. The strongest team is next, and there aren't any big surprises here except that Eggy might have a fighting chance next time they lose since she has a decent lead over Basketball currently. For now though, Foldy is still out. The first double elimination, and Team 8's will be the first of the two teams to lose a member. Since they were all fairly close, it mostly comes down to who banked more previously. The S, on the other hand, were not close at all, but Cloudy was also up for voting 3 times before and Icy only once. As a result, it's even less close than the normal voting, but in the opposite direction. Just Not did worse in Teapot 4's challenge, so they lose a member first. And here we see a case study on why banking more votes earlier is beneficial, as Naily is the first safe, and Cake, the last with under 1,000 votes accumulated, is out. Another example of that principle is Death Pact again, the first repeat losers, though it also helps Pi that she's replacing Marker, therefore accumulating votes he would otherwise get. Are You OK was very close to winning, but the strongest team never even had a play, and as I predicted, Eggy gets to stay in the game as well. The final team who hasn't lost yet. Their bottom 3 was super close, so it once again comes down to who banked the most votes previously. In the second loss of the S, Clock just barely survives over Bottle instead of being eliminated. For Death Pact again's third loss, Tree may be the first safe in the real episode, but Black Hole barely beats Remote, who replaces him here. That doesn't matter though, because Lightning is still out. Just Not loses because they got sabotaged by Golf Ball, and Book is the one who will be leaving here. The S loses for a second consecutive time as well, and Clock is the one who pays the price. I went into making this assuming Teapot 9 could be interesting, as the entirety of Are You OK was extremely close this time. It comes down once again to who banked the most in the past. Team 8 was also pretty close with the exception of Donut and Gatey, and Pin will be the one who joins Coiny at the elimination place. Teardrop also leaves this episode because she never got any votes at all. For the first time since Teapot 3, Just Not is the only team who loses a member at the start of Teapot 10, so individual votes are far higher. In fact, except for Taggy, their vote totals doubled. Nickel is out, as in the real episode. And with that, we can continue no farther, so here are all of the contestants who are replacing someone else, along with who they're replacing. Thank you for watching, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one.